Hello and welcome to Attacking Third's continued coverage of the 2025 UEFA Women's Euro. I'm Sandra Herrera alongside Christine Cupo and Lori Lindsey. Today, we've got to react to that Spain versus Switzerland quarterfinal. It was certainly something until it was something else. So this is your early spoiler alert that we're going to walk through everything, including the scoreline. And we just want to thank you all for joining us on Attacking Third, whether you're with us live on YouTube or just listening to us as a podcast. We're just happy that you're here, and let us know that you're here. We've got the chat going now. Let us know what you thought of the game, the result, what you're looking forward to in the next rounds here with Christine Cupo, Lori Lindsey. Before we get into hellos and how much we've missed each other, while we're saying hello to the folks who are joining us live, we just want to let everybody know thank you once again, because Attacking Third has been nominated once again for a People's Choice Award for Best Female Hosted Podcast. And we need your help to reach the finals. All you have to do is register to vote at www.podcastawards.com/app/sign up. And once you do, you go ahead and select the drop-down menu for Best Female Hosted Podcast and select Attacking Third. That's it. It's going to take you less than a minute. We really appreciate all of your love and your support. And of course, we need your help to get us over the finish line. We appreciate y'all if you go and do that. Thanks for having our back as always, because no one can do anything alone. And that's why I'm here alongside you, Christine, and you, Lindsay. Christine, how you doing, Cupo? I miss you, girlie. I have been like living through you, thinking of you this whole time as Italy's been just skyrocketing through these semis. How you been?
Sandra, you're right now in my A3 friend power rankings. You're in like the 1++5 gold star position because you were the first one to text me to be like, girl, go off. And I was like,
Yes.
like a little gremlin with my little Capitano armband ready to
Yeah.
go. Yeah, no, I've been good. I am riding the high right now. I do miss you. About to hop a flight to Chicago and just like knock on your door, be like, what you doing for the what are you doing for the final?
Yeah, we
Anything
can
on
do
the
the
play?
semis real quick. Let's go get us an Italian beef or something. I don't know. Lori, I can't even begin to start with you, homie. I'm just so glad that you are able to hop on these every once in a while, because you join us. When you do, you join us like right after calling these games. Like we go from listening to you on these game calls to joining us on A3. Appreciate you so much. How are you? How you been? What a game.
Yeah, appreciate you all. Thanks for having me always. And yeah, it's fun. It's fun to like come off that call and do these live reactions with you all and just dissect the games, because missed penalty kicks, as you said, just like drama, and just these Euros have been exceptional, right? So
How have you been
quality.
caffeinating and how have you been hydrating? Because I know that when I get done with stuff, my brains are like scrambled eggs. I'm like,
Yeah,
somebody,
exactly.
water,
Exactly.
water.
Yeah. What are
I've
your
been
go-to buddies right
caffeinating
now?
well and not hydrating well enough. It is just like
That's about right.
it is like the most fun grind, but you are literally like, sometimes I'm like, whoa, what information is in my head right now? It is just bananas. But
The broadcaster meal plan is actually just cold brew, hot
Yeah.
coffee, maybe tea, because
this
you know
cold
you're
Yeah.
coffee
getting
that I got
And
before the
deep
game.
breaths every once in a
Yeah.
while. I
I
love
do this
that.
whole
Oh
breathing
my.
thing before the games because I'm like, I just need to chill myself, calm myself down. So yeah,
Yeah,
all
I
good
love
though.
it, 100%. I mean, and look, we got to talk about it. It is the quarterfinal against Spain and Switzerland. And here's your spoiler alert: Spain coming out on top, defeating the host nation, Switzerland, 2-0. But it wasn't an easy feat. And we're going to chat a little bit about what that all means. The goals in this one really not coming well into the second half, just past the hour mark, and some really exciting tactical stuff, I think, in that first half that made everybody, raise their eyebrows in a very kind of pleasant surprise kind of way, because we all were kind of riding that upset high from the other day with Italy kind of breaking through, and so folks were like, hey, is there maybe going to be that possibility for Switzerland, going up against Spain? Talk about what could have been a massive upset, but they definitely, tested the 2023 world champions for sure. Let's just hop into maybe Spain's first opportunity here to kind of make a statement, because it's going to present a larger conversation at hand here with the Euros. We're talking about missed penalties. So here's Spain, the leading, one of the co-favorites at this point in this tournament, maybe depending on the day of this tournament, are the sole favorites. 2023 World Cup champions, and they get an opportunity early in this first half. And Caliente steps up to try and can convert this, but goes just wide. And it becomes another part of this statistic that we've seen at the Euros. And if you haven't been keeping track, that's shout out to Opta Joe. That's 50% of the penalties that have been missed at this point, because it's about 24, 12 have only been made. So it's literally a 50-50 chance at this point, at this rate in the Euros, that if you get a penalty opportunity, you literally may or may not convert this thing. Cupo, talk to me a little bit more about maybe some of the historic, maybe the sad history that we're watching being made at the Euros right now when it comes to pens.
So there comes an impasse where I eventually pivot and go, wait, I think this is the worst we've ever actually seen. And I start digging into the history books. And I did just that. So congratulations, everyone. We are alive in the time and place where we have now hit an all-time high in missed pens in the Euros all time. And by a lot. Okay. Right now we're at all in 9 shootout misses and 2 regular in match misses, bringing us to a total of 11. Okay. Now, if we run it back, we have the most misses from shootouts in 2016. That was 7. That's all in for that tournament. Okay. So there wasn't any in match that happened. And then behind that, we have 2013, where there were 4 in match missed pens. And then in 2020, fewer than 4 missed all in. So this is absolutely bananas to me, because I started to think back, like, what is the catalyst for pens being so bad? Like, that's 101 technique that you are taught and have to learn. And granted, some people never get good at taking pens, but they usually get pulled off of taking pens for that purpose.
Yeah.
But when you have a Spain team with Caldente and Puteas missing pens in match in the same game, that's what do you make of that, Lori?
Bonkers.
Yeah, it's a good question. We've been talking about this because after covering that awful penalty kick shootout yesterday, where there were just like, sorry to say it, yeah, it was, and also I get there's tired legs, there's tired minds, all of those things, but I mean today was so strange. You know, I don't know. I really don't have an answer for it. Just in the situation of like, okay, you maybe could come down to pressure, but not really. I mean, these players are playing in top leagues, right? The Spanish team in particular played in the World Cup final. They've gone through these situations where they played in front of a lot of fans. So doesn't necessarily feel like that's the case. It's just nobody practiced penalties. Well, actually, let me just take a step back. That supposedly was the situation with Sweden. They were asked about that, Gerhardsson, their coach, and he was like, oh, we didn't practice them because we don't know who's going to be on the field, which I find, if that's the case, just like astonishing, because that is the primary thing that can win you these games. And that's what lost them this tournament. So, or at least not advancing. So that's a whole nother conversation. I don't really know what it is. It doesn't feel like pressure. It just feels like, kind of like a lack of confidence or something, because you can see the run-ups where it's just like Caldente's in particular. It was like, that doesn't feel like there's like a lot of confidence behind that. Puteas was just a poor hit, right? It was easy for paying. But those were the style that Puteas put in, or her shot, was very frequent that we saw in the penalty kick shootout yesterday too, that type of penalty kick. So yeah, I don't know. It's strange. It is strange. And
we need to put this in the lab under a microscope and let it be studied. Like, get the petri dish ready.
Yeah. For the folks listening, we were cracking jokes, and we were just kind of like off camera, and we were like, it's just too beautiful. It's just simply too beautiful in Switzerland, and everybody's getting distracted by all the incredible views.
100%.
They're just not converting these pens. But it was an absolute missed opportunity. And I think when you've got the knockout rounds in front of you, it's that tournament resetter. You know, like we got to see all of these incredible goals, a record set for amount of goals scored in the group stage. But when you get to knockouts, like, those stakes just get that much higher, right? And so maybe that different level of pressure or high intensity sets in, and we get to see what we saw with Sweden and England, and today with Spain. And I mean, we're talking opening 10 minutes of the game where this team has the opportunity to really take control of this game and maybe try to sit in cruise control a little bit, because we have seen this Spain team do that in the Euros. They take over the game and then they just control it the rest of the way. That wasn't necessarily the case here. And Lori, I'd love to go to you on this, because it almost sort of feels like this penalty gets missed and you just see Switzerland get so amped up. I mean, these players are rowdy. The fans and the energy is like they're feeding off of it too in the arena. And it sort of kind of dictates the momentum shift a little bit. It takes Spain a little while to steal some of that back.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. It gave them a lifeline. And one of the things that we were saying coming into this game, I know Studio said it too, but like that has been a theme against Spain throughout, is if you're the opposition, you cannot concede early, because then you're chasing, right? And it plays right into their hands. You have to open yourself up defensively. And we were saying for Switzerland in particular, they have been their best when they are in transition. And I felt like because that gave them a little lifeline, they found another level of like, we're all going to defend together, we're going to disrupt, we're going to do whatever it takes, and then try to find some moments where we can like at least be a little bit more direct and catch Spain out. We didn't see that much in terms of their attack in the first half, but I thought they defended, gave themselves enough of a good position to go into the second half and then start to open up a little bit more. Pilgrim was excellent. But yeah, I mean, missed penalties, the littlest details. That's what it comes down to now in this tournament, knockout stages, because everything's on the line. So, and maybe that's where a little bit of the pressure does come in. Everything's more heightened, right? There's more visibility. The quality of play is higher. Everything is that much better. But yeah, I thought that little lifeline was enough to get the crowd even behind this team on another level and just provide that like extra oomph that they needed to at least carry them through like 60 minutes of that game.
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
it's
the
also
hour mark, right?
interesting that like Spain, for what it's worth, and as good as they are, they underperformed this match too. They had just under, I think, 6 touches in
Yep.
Switzerland's box on average. And so like the goal potential should have been so high, but also like the conversion rate this should have been a much higher scoring match. And I think that if it weren't for a lot of Switzerland's efforts defensively, it could have been a bloodbath. But I think they came out with moxie, which there's no measurable quantity for that, or it was quality. Like Switzerland didn't come out scared. I thought that they played a pretty decent match for what could have been, and their fans are phenomenal. Like I just want to hang out with the Switzerland fans for a while. They just are
On the
absolutely
march.
roaring on
Yeah.
on the between the march, but also like the roaring that you're picking up. And like I know that not
Yes.
everybody has been in stadium where it's been that loud, but to hear it that loud across the airwaves and on a broadcast from my sofa, it had to be deafening in stadium.
I have to imagine that if you're, if you're the home side and you've already at this point, you're part of that march, you're a fan, you've been probably up really, really early to get in on this, sitting 0-0, 0-0 at halftime, you gotta wonder like, okay, second half, anything could happen here. And credit to the home side and the home fans. They kept the energy going throughout 100%. But again, bringing a little bit of what we were talking about off camera, Cupo. I was like, man, like we're hitting this hour mark here. We're just tick past it. Like surely some sort of breakthrough has to happen here. And it comes by way of game adjustments. Like we see substitutions start happening, and it's El Castillo who gets the breakthrough for Spain. Incredible goal. Claudia Pina as well goes
Yeah,
ahead
had
and
been
gets a
hustling
go-ahead
that whole
goal.
game. I feel like for her, it was only a
Yes,
matter of
hustler.
time. Hmm.
I loved it so much for this player because I feel like Pina's been doing a lot of kind of thankless work, for Spain. If she's not opening the pockets of space or making that connected pass or setting up the assist for the actual assister, like, yes, getting on the score sheet, in the group stage, but now in this quarterfinal, I was just like, goodness gracious, like you love to see the hustlers finally like get a little bit of that credit for it. So getting that go-ahead goal was massive. Although it didn't come without, again, a little bit of controversy. Kupo, there was some argument. We saw some reaction from the Swiss players there about the official, the spacing, the timing. What did you see on the play?
Yeah, I mean, I understand that the clarification that we got via the referee was that if the ball is touched, then it would result in a drop ball. I I feel like there's a little bit more room for interpretation there because that is what you're tasked with as a referee is it's your interpretation of the rule. I feel like if there's enough of an obstruction, and I have had this happen before, granted, not in Euros, where there's just a ref in a bad spot where you either are obscured where you can't see or you can't step into that space fast enough and something unfortunate happens. For me, I would absolutely be livid and I don't blame them for the reaction that they had, but I absolutely just abhor the perspective of they're just trying for anything at this point. Like it's an excuse, it's whatever. No, like when you're in the heat of a game, it's all go, go, go. When you have to restrict your movement for whatever reason, if there's a ref in the way and they need to at least step back or have a consideration of, okay, let me drop ball here and give them the benefit of the doubt. If that run of play is going to end up happening, Spain's going to convert anyway. For me, that was just a call. I also had an issue with the dog so call later, which I thought was a bit much, but
Yeah,
so
we were
here we
saying, like,
are.
listen, that is the law, right? Like, it is like she's the last player. Credit to Paruelo and putting them in that position. And one of the few threats I feel like that give Spain that directness. But at the same time, like, I was also like, well, that's just a bummer, right? It's just like I feel like it is one of those ones where you could have let it go, but at the same time, it is the law. But yeah, the one with, Velti was so strange as well, and it's just like sometimes it's like the smallest little details. Because one of the things I always think of too, is yes, it could be a drop ball, but also the ref is part of the play. Like we saw
Yeah.
yesterday was like 2 2 plays in that England-Sweden game where the ref got taken out, and, like, I was like, "Whoops," and, like, so
Oops.
it's just part of it, right? So you're just kinda like, "All right, well, you're in the way, it's like another player," that's how you kinda think of it, and I
Yeah.
felt like that
Yeah,
is
I'm like, "Hey, if I feel like the ref is D'ing up on me, it's fair play, okay?"
Game
Like,
on, right? That's the
Cupo's like,
energy.
"Boom,
That's
move
kind of
it."
what I wanted to see. I kind of wanted to look for that a little bit. Like maybe the
But,
other
I
way
mean,
for the
think
Swiss, like
about it.
try to
If
utilize it.
if you do step into that space and an altercation happens where the ref ends up, I don't know, head up, bottom down, some sort of arrangement of anatomy that isn't typical on pitch, like, what are the
Yeah. But
repercussions of that? Because
the repercussions are the goal.
babes, you gotta
Tina's
move
top
like
corner goal that was world
yeah.
class. Yeah,
The
you're
the
like, "Hey,
freaking the freaking screamer that Pina
The TikTok
went
said,
ahead
"You
and
got
scored.
30 minutes,
hey,
30
no, hold
minutes, like,
on.
ref,
Yeah.
let's
Hey,
go."
we can't hit penalty kicks, but give me a ball on top of the box, I'll freaking hit it top corner or bender."
And
Okay, call it a
that's
game.
what the game. Yeah, that's exactly what the game was giving me. At one point, I was just like, "Oh my god, it's just gonna be some absolute screamer from 40 yards out." But
That's
look,
wrong.
Spain doing what they do. They have shown that they are a not only a good team, but they are a deep team. I think that was on full display today, and the things that they were presented from the opposition and how they kind of broke through the combination right from a player with that impact off the bench. One of your bona fide starters at this point in Pina also like making herself a key figure. And I think now, as we spin it forward and look ahead, Spain is through to the semifinal. And the other thing that happens in knockout rounds is you get presented these challenges along the way. The other team on the other side are playing for the exact same things. They want to advance. They want to eliminate you and
Mhm.
move on to the next one. And so now that they've been presented with maybe some interesting challenges from Switzerland, now they have to look ahead. They are going to await the winner of France and Germany. What does this mean moving forward for Spain? Cupo, in terms of matchups, what's your dream matchup here? Do you want to see Spain go up against a France or a German side?
That's a good question. Um, you know what? I let's see him against France. I feel like France, for what it's worth, has I feel like turned a corner in a lot of ways. They have a little bit of defensive ironing out to do, but I feel like they're a more whole squad right now than we can expect of Germany. That's not a knock on Germany. I think that they've just kind of been um, shown for all the deficiencies that they have that we haven't seen in the past. They're not their strongest. I think that France, with a good game plan, have the talent and the organization now, at least, to sort of give them a run for their money.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd love to see France as well. I think they are building something very special themselves as well along the way through these Euros. Lori, you've been covering these games all throughout the tournament. Give us a little teaser here. What do you think we can expect between France and Germany in the next
Yeah.
one?
Great question. I'm going with France as well to make this the semis against Spain. I know I love this team's attack. I love their midfield. My questions for them, much like Spain, are still in the back, right? The organization, they've had to play a lot of young players due to injuries, due to their coach decided not to bring Wendy Renard, one of their most experienced players ever. So there are some questions still there for me, but I mean, listen, if they get past Germany, I'm thinking the Spain-France is like, what is this gonna be 4-4? Like, this could be outrageous. I
Yeah,
mean, it could be one
all
of the best
time.
semifinals ever, yeah. Just given that both of these teams wanna attack, the amount of numbers they can send forward and, just the quality that they have. So, yeah, really would be looking forward to if that was the semifinal.
Yeah, I think it's gearing up to maybe we're manifesting things here. And
Yeah.
I see y'all in the chat. Folks are like, we want to see Spain and France. We'll see what's going on here. But that's really what you want to see in these types of tournaments. You want to see the
Yep.
teams that are really putting it all out there in the field, putting it all together at the right time. And I think that could be a really juicy kind of semifinal. So we'll see if that's what comes to fruition. We'll see it, and we'll also see maybe there's another upset in the mix for the remainder of the quarterfinals. But for this one, it's Spain moving on, Switzerland. Thank you for being such an amazing host. We will continue to take in all of the beautiful scenes along the way. And we've got more women's soccer chatter coming up. We've got to discuss Copa America Femenina. We're going to do that right after a quick break. All right, welcome back to Attacking Third. We just wrapped up the quarterfinal with Spain and Switzerland, and now we're going to do another check-in. We've been checking in every once in a while on women's AFCON. It's a huge summer of soccer between Euros, women's AFCON, and of course, Copa America Femenina. So we're going to go ahead and do our check-in. Unfortunately, you hate to see it. You do not want to start off your check-in on the tournament with this kind of energy, but we're going to go ahead and do it because if players are compelled and moved to the point where they feel like they need to go ahead and speak out about certain conditions taking place within the tournament, we're going to have to try to talk about that a little bit. And specifically, Brazil's players have come out and spoken out against CONMEBOL and over the conditions in the warm-up areas during the Copa America. Brazilian players, including six-time FIFA Player of the Year, Marta, have criticized CONMEBOL and the organizers of the Copa America tournament in Ecuador for requiring teams to warm up in a confined indoor area rather than on the actual pitch. And according to the tournament regulations, the measure was implemented to prevent damage to the pitch, which hosts 2 matches a day during the group stage. And I just sort of feel like deja vu, and I hate that kind of feeling. But Lori, I actually think I want to go to you on this first because you, in your experiences with the women's national team, you're no strangers to having to find yourselves being the one to speak out on things, and I couldn't help but notice that this is a circumstance that affects multiple teams in this particular tournament. But Brazilian players are the ones who had kind of taken it upon themselves to sort of be that vocal piece. And sometimes that's how it comes to light and that's how it comes to fruition. Yeah. The quote unquote favorite or the quote unquote powerhouse of the region finds themselves speaking out against these things. And I just was curious if you can talk a little bit about just like how bad does it have to be to where you're like, hold on a second here, pump the brakes, and two, what's it like sort of finding yourself in that position in the middle of a tournament, kind of speaking out on stuff like this?
Yeah. Well, to the second part of that, it's emotional, right? It is emotional because you're fighting this one battle off the field while trying to perform on the field. That gives you even more leverage to be able to speak out. But I think, if you're going to speak about Brazil, also you can never not speak about Marta and how important she's been to this game, and not just what she's done on the field in terms of revolutionizing the game and the impact she's had, but off the field as well. I mean, this isn't the first time we've seen Marta do this in terms of like, one, galvanizing people to be like, okay, this is the standard we should be, but then also doing it in a thoughtful way and making it known that this isn't good enough. And it's not surprising. I was curious about this because we're starting to dive into coverage of Copa America, and I'm going to be doing some games next week, so my prep will start. But I was like, when you have all these tournaments happening simultaneously, obviously we're all fans of the game, players included. So you're watching these tournaments and what Switzerland has done as a team, the tournament they put on, the quality that we're seeing in terms of the fans arriving, how the players are being treated. Of course, that is all going to be heightened, and then now is the time to speak out if this is the standard that's being put on in Copa America. So, listen, it's enough is enough, because it's at this point in time it's boring. It's really such a boring conversation because it's not good enough, and it's like, step up, let's go. And also, it is where we are. So I just you have to give credit to this Brazilian team, because it's not easy to be trying to perform and have this fight at the same time. But it is also the time that's needed when there's so much visibility, there's so many eyes on this. You have these other tournaments that people are watching and seeing that quality in the standard, and then also seeing this. But yeah, I mean, it's just like I'm getting I can feel my body getting fired up right now. It's again, the best way to put it too, it's so infuriating, and it's also just boring. Let's move on, increase the standards, let's go, because this is not good enough for the players. It's just not good enough at this point in time. And I feel for them.
Let me
Cupo, I was
can I jump up on my soapbox? Because I think there's probably a call to action here. CONMEBOL, that's not protecting the turf, but you have exposed a double standard. Men's teams have never historically been asked to prepare like that, ever, anywhere. They're given space, access, professional conditions, because that's what's expected, because they're professional. So are the women.
Come on, Cupo.
This isn't just the tournament organizers. I think that at this point, we have enough leverage if we look to the event sponsors like Visa, Adidas, Gatorade, Coca-Cola, MasterCard, Nike. If your logo is on the broadcast, if it's on the bibs, if it's on a backdrop, if you're mentioned, if you're on a kit, you're part of this ecosystem. You can also hold these people responsible and make sure that they demand equal conditions before you get the next sponsorship, or the sponsorship's dead. If you make access to facilities a requirement, not a pretty please, can we, which it should be, and then stand up for the athletes that you support all in. This also goes for the federations. You need to do better. These are professional athletes, period. They shouldn't be arguing before a match or having any distractions whatsoever, because if you're the same people that argue to grow the game, then help to grow the game.
Well, it's
please always get on your soapbox. Please always.
Yeah,
this got me so heated up. I've been saving that. Like, when I see you,
it's deeply frustrating because they don't, like, things like this show that they don't advocate or argue for women's competitions or the women's game. And taking a step further there, Cupo, just sharing your soapbox, like, I need to see some penalties or some fines. Like, I need to see something come out of this.
Do not appoint matches, right? Don't appoint matches to facilities that are incapable of hosting.
Yep.
If Ecuador was given the opportunity to host this tournament, that's going to come with a certain amount of sponsorship and responsibility and extra funds to put those things on. And you got to get, I got to see something. I got to see a fine, a penalty, something moving forward. It's not enough. And it's terrible that it once again is falling on players at this point, arguably the favorite of the tournament, to find themselves speaking out. So not only are these players in competition, literally in this moment in time, to try to go out and win a tournament, they are finding it on themselves once again to have to advocate for bare minimums standards in the middle of this tournament in which they are competing. So it is deeply frustrating. And to your earlier point, Lori, it is stale. It is so stale. So I'm tired of seeing us come on here and have to rage out a little bit. And it's just you like us like this? Like, come on now. We'd rather be just slamming a cold one and talking about the game. But it's that's just not always the possibility. in the women's game. It's like, oh, hold on a second, hold this for me while I go and like fight another fight real quick.
Yeah.
But
The
happy
other
to do
layer
it.
that, like, if it weren't a Brazil, right? If it weren't a Brazil who sort of flashed the light on this, I still think, again, standing solo, Bolivia would have just been swept under the rug. And like that's damning also. So there's so many layers of just lack of justification for anything that's transpired. You're right. It's
I just
boring. It's boring at
I
this
just
point.
need FIFA to pay attention. Just pay attention to what's
Please.
happening in Copa America Femenina. You just gave Brazil the World Cup in 27. And I'm sorry, if the Club World Cup was supposed to be some sort of a trial run for the Men's World Cup in 2026, I don't know how you're looking at a Copa America Femenina in South America and not raising some questions or eyebrows or red flags with a Women's World Cup on the horizon in 2027. This cannot be happening in the 2027 World Cup. Hopefully it does not. And hopefully we get to see some sort of temporary shifts within this Copa America Femenina, because again, it's one of these tournaments that we're keeping an eye on during the summer of soccer, alongside Euros, alongside women's AFCON. You know, it's got a ton of South American teams in there. Folks are obviously gonna keep their eyes on Brazil, Colombia. They may or may not rival. I think they've got some work to do. They ended up in a draw, so we'll see who comes out to kind of maybe rival Brazil in this one moving forward. And it's just, again, it's just deeply frustrating trying to see those things, and you hate to maybe connect those dots as I am. Maybe some people might be like, Sandra, you're reaching, like, it's the World Cup, it's in 27, they got time. Surely it's not going to be like this in Brazil. But you know what, when this keeps happening and it gets as stale as it does, we're going to keep mentioning, like, pay attention for a little bit. And it's like you're asking Marta, one of the greats of all time, the GOAT, your favorite player's favorite player, Marta, is being asked about this stuff in the same breath of like, hey, what are your plans in 2027? And she's like, I don't really know, man, because like we're training in a boiler room in Copa America. She's over here like, I don't know, dude. Like, I might want to try to be a mom, right? This is something else that she's also spoken on as well. This is all part of Marta's legacy. It's like, is she or is she not really retired, right? Like, she said that she's going to always be there for Brazil as long as she's happy and healthy and they need her. And but you know, hearing her speak recently, again, not only in a form of activism for her team, but also just kind of expressing like her desire for motherhood as well, like in comments that she made to Globo Brazil. So I just am like, God, man, like Marta's like really keeping an eye on things in action and also an eye ahead. I mean, if this is it for Marta in Copa America, this is just another one of those things that adds to her legacy, I think, doesn't it, Cupo?
Yeah, I mean, Marta is just this talismanic figure. Like, she's bigger than anything else. Like, I'm sorry to say that, but like, there's this totemic figure that's Marta that everybody, whether Brazilian or not, will run through a wall for. And then there's Marta the player, who also, like, the intangibles of her leadership qualities on pitch, the way that she gets fired up, the way that she can sort of garner the team ambition in a single whole human body is insane. I think that we're seeing like a really strong Brazilian side, but we haven't seen one without Marta yet. And I feel like I have a lot of trepidation about that because, again, there's what she does as a player, drawing fouls in key areas and just full scoring, getting into positions. And then there's also just her being there. I think that the aura points are like off the chart. And so it's like, what do you do without her? How do you replace that? I don't Obviously we've had this conversation with other players in like the US program, but I feel like for Brazil, barring any other, like we've been spoiled for riches in terms of retirees in the US program. And you look at Brazil and it's like, well, I think that their all-time worldie player, like, that's her. She's still
Yeah.
playing, and it's like we haven't seen that departure yet. I think it's gonna be a big challenge for them, but if anything, I think they'll always play for her, right? And that's what I mean by, like, she kind of eclipses the whole game all in.
Yeah, it is interesting.
We'll see.
Yeah, I'll just say the last thing I'll say is she is the ultimate GOAT, right? For all of these reasons, her ability to lead on the field, to lead off the field, and is annoying and frustrating, all the words that we've used already in this fight. One of the things I think that's most important is that you hope, because of how talented this Brazilian team is, they are learning in these moments, right? She is guiding them, and from there, other types of leaders are rising up to be that voice when she does ultimately step down. And maybe that's what's needed, is once she does leave, you really start to see, oh, there is somebody else that we didn't know that can like grab this team and really galvanize them in a lot of ways too. And hopefully, goodness gracious, that a lot of these fights will be lessened because the standards will be met and even exceeded. But at the same time, they're ready to take those reins because of the work that Marta has done in terms of leading the team. So
no, that's a really good point, Lori. One that I'm not sure if I thought of really since you mentioned it right now. I just am kind of like, you know what, there's a lot of ways to sort of be an icon of the game, right? And one of those things is to sort of lead your teammates in how to advocate for themselves a little bit, because if you're not around, if you're not that face, like what's that going to look like once you're gone? And I think maybe we see a little bit of this. You know, Marta was not the only one to speak out on this. Like Caroline took to her own social media and was speaking about these things. You know, Ari Borges was someone who took to, you know, a lot of statements alongside Marta. And so we were seeing maybe a little bit of that, you know, legendary status and Marta kind of seeping into some of the teammates. But as far as what it means for them in the tournament moving forward, we'll see. They're sitting on top of Group B at the moment with 6 points, and believe it or not, hosts Ecuador on top of Group A at this moment with 4 points. So we'll definitely check back in with all things women's soccer tournament happening around the world, because it's not just the Euros. Like I said, we got Copa America Femenina, we've got women's AFCON, and sooner or later, NWSL is going to rear its head back and let us know, hey, knock, knock, don't forget about us. We got a regular season to wrap up here. And that's really a wrap for us as well. We've got more women's Euro coverage happening. We're going to return here tomorrow, tap right back in July 19th after the final whistle of the France versus Germany quarterfinal game on YouTube. It's going to be Lisa Carlin, Jess McDonald, myself, and we're going to talk about a winner, of course, or at least whoever's going to advance. You know, I don't want to put any more chaos into the universe, but who knows what we're going to see in this next quarterfinal. But that'll be it. Thanks for being here with us. We appreciate you.